I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Episode 5. I'm so excited, man. The University of Magic. We're here. The dream has come to fruition. Not only that, it's better than we've dreamt it would be. Because Cliff is going to be there. Ariel's going to be there. Luke's going to be there. Sylphie's going to be there. And above all else, Zenoba's going to be there.
It's all we could have ever
I'm
dreamed.
ready. I'm ready for it.
I am also really ready. My shock was immeasurable last episode.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with you and with everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
with everyone else that's in this room right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm almost out of room in my notebook. Oh no.
This looks like what you would imagine a place to study magic would look like. Her curse?
Interesting.
She's cursed?
I want to go over that.
Is that a lie, or is she actually cursed?
Is this like the closest we've ever gotten to an actual intro from Mushoku Tensei? It is, right?
I mean, there's walking. There's always walking in intros.
Fake birds. Soul.
Wait, is she enrolling? Hold on. And the necklace is really prevalent.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that girl with him had white hair actually, or was that like the illusion of the intro? It could be a long-haired Sylphie. Oh my goodness.
Elisa's enrolling? That looked like a uniform. I could have just been imagining things though.
A test.
Got a test to see if he's actually good.
Fight our best student, Cliff. Ah.
Oh, cool. Non-magical. Curses!
We study curses.
There we go, that's how we get in. I think it's what you said.
Another silent caster.
Stop! Recognized.
Doesn't recognize. Oh my god.
This was better than Cliff.
God, to think that they're fighting here and Rudy wanted to bring... Oh my god, dude. Oh. Can Sylphie heal without incantations?
Oh no!
Look, you can see her eyes a little bit. Keys. Ah!
Sometimes
The uniform looks so good.
Nice. Yep, in uniform. Yep, 100%. Practical.
They're such a great tag team.
Is Ariel the student council president?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They all have their own fan clubs. What a good position.
人の嫌がることがよくある言葉だ。ただの退屈な集会で終わるんだが、カリスマってやつか。
He thinks she's pretty. Like you can kind of tell that she's staring at him.
I love like how they're doing the opacity for the glasses. It's such a good decision.
So subtle. You can barely tell like where Sylphie's looking.
Just like from the intro, right?
Hello. Yes. Stop.
Oh my god! What a classroom!
Is Nova in there too? Yeah, 100%.
Yes!
Yes! Picking him up.
Of course not. Not for a day. I couldn't if I wanted to.
Is he getting bullied?
Miss Linnea. Uh-oh. Oh my god.
His Is this their older siblings?
Yeah. Persona. Cliff. 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 Magical genius.
Best of friends, starting now. Wonder if he's better than Rudy right now. Miss Silent. Exempt from even the monthly homeroom.
Damn. Laboratory.
The one with the long black hair, I think. I like that they have a place to duel.
Duel.
Yep.
Oh my god.
It's called telling someone what they want to hear.
The teleporter labyrinth.
Narrative account. Yeah, and you just made his day.
Yes, collab. I love Zenoba's voice actor.
アスラ王国の上級貴族です。
本を読んでいたらすっかり遅くなってしまった。次からはノートくらい用意しないとだな。白い雪ではない。
Are we testing him? We are testing him for some reason.
パンティちゃん。
落としましたよ。
変態のクズが。
僕は何もしていません。
その手に持ってるのは何なんだい。いくら姫様に憧れてるからってこんな時間にどう。
そうよ、変態。死ね。
ほらこっちに来な。二度とこんな後悔させてやっから。
待って。その下着僕が干そうとして落としちゃったんだ。
そうだとしても話すことはできないね。なところを歩いていたんだ。日没がこの
そうなんですか。
寮の細かいルールを知らないんだ。
ここまで弁護してるんだ。けどそれとこれとは別の話でを破ったのは事実だから見せしめとして。
彼は悪くないと言っている。
Holy shit.
フィッツ様、医務室送りになりたいのか。
Sophie's such a badass, bro.
次は容赦。
That rumble every time they step.
まったくゴリアです。
Goliad.
話を聞かないんだから。
It's like an adventure time.
The incantationless healing is crazy, bro.
Did we not drop them on purpose? Like,
It kind of looked like it.
下着を落としたから
But
こんなことになっちゃって。
助かりました。先輩が助けて
could have been to create more interaction.
ことかと。
いいんだよ。
当然のことか。試験のこともあったのだ。倒してくれてなんて人格者だ。先輩と敬意を込めてそう呼ばせ。
本当にありがとうございました。
おかしな感じだね。
Hearing you thank me.
思うんですか。
Are we allowed to tell him? No. Okay.
I want it so
I
bad.
thought it was gonna happen for a second.
I'm not that lucky.
内緒。
Okay, that was Mushoku Tensei, Season 2, Episode 5. I cannot tell you, or even express to you, how invested in that episode I was, or
know.
immersed. I was
Stop.
I could not stop looking at the screen.
We would not have been this invested if this is how the show had started. If we had actually just gone to Ranoa, you know, to study magic with Sophie initially, we would not be this invested in a school-like setting. Like, this is just beyond imagination of, like, what I would have wanted. This is, like, so fun.
So many stories. And it's not a bad thing, but utilize the setting of a school as their atmosphere to perpetuate interactions with other characters
to force
and use it as a
interactions.
crutch
Yeah.
a little bit for a story.
It's like a device that's being used.
This show didn't do that shit until they wanted to, like, give us a little present. This is a
Yeah.
present. I'm
totally a
so
present.
happy. I'm so excited. This is like, I don't even know where to start, man. Okay.
They tricked me a little bit with the Doldia characters to figure out that those are actually just older siblings.
I am completely out of notes in my Mushoku Tensei notebook, so I'll need to start a new one. Which sucks a little bit, but, you know, it's whatever. I just like the show a lot. I am excited to see when Rudy utilizes this information that he has on people, like those from the village.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Like when to say that he's been,
Yeah.
how to connect with them.
Because it's definitely a bit of information that's pertinent to that conversation and would not have been awkward mentioning in that conversation. But he chose not to. And that might
Fits with what he did say.
Yeah.
What he didn't say fits with what he did say, which was that this was the type of personality that he believed he should humble himself to.
Yeah.
And telling of the exploits of Doldia Village, where he basically saved everyone, her whole family, probably wouldn't have been very humble.
That being said, though, it's kind of outing yourself as being intentionally not being intentionally humble by
like
saying no information.
Yeah, like manipulation.
Yeah, like if they figure out, or when they figure out, like Linnea like, we'll figure out that Rudy withheld that information.
They'll be like, why the hell? Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Why'd you not tell us?
Like, then it's going to be like that's a weird trait from you.
Right,
I'm suspicious.
If you learned, like, if you went into a conversation and you were like, someone was like, I'm from Doldia, you would honestly, any normal person would have been like, oh, I've been there before.
Yeah. But the intention of thinking things through and trying to play it a certain way, and that reveal happening potentially later on would definitely, like,
we get a
character.
Difference in that sort of interaction where he could have been, oh, I've been there, and then he could have said the line that he said internally of like, oh, I heard that the older sibling was abroad.
Yeah.
And then when we get that interaction with Cliff, what Cliff does is the opposite of what Rudy does in that interaction with Linnea.
And then what Fitz does is somewhat similar to what Rudy does, you know? Like, okay.
Choosing to withhold things, choosing not to.
Sylphie withholding things, right? Obviously, a bit of that, I would assume, is connected to Ariel.
Mm-hmm.
But the bit that isn't, for the majority of the episode, I was like, there are probably a decent amount of reasons that Sylphie would want to hold their tongue at the moment, whether it's for safety, whether it's for being shy or not knowing what kind of person Rudy is at this point, and things in that realm. But that last interaction kind of left me a little bit of me wondering if Sylphie thinks that Rudy already knows, but he doesn't.
What I took from that is the type of energy that I think I'm gonna guess for Sylphie there, because it is a really great question of like, what do we think Sylphie's thinking? Why do we think Sylphie is withholding this information? Like, obviously, if you saw your childhood friend and they even mentioned you to yourself, you would probably normally say something. But what I'm thinking is not that Sylphie thinks that Rudy is aware of it or knows, but more so, Sylphie's not going to tell him, but if he figures it out on his own, she's okay with that.
Yeah. From the framing, it did look like it made me question in the moment that Sylphie intentionally threw them down to Rudy because of their past together. And that is a very good possibility and chance because of how it's framed.
And what it is that is dropped.
And the timing of it.
A test to see if he's the same person he was before.
Yeah.
But also a forced proximity. We're forcing that Sylphie then comes in to save Rudy, and then they get to have a conversation.
But it is also very possible that it was just a coincidence.
Yeah, that it was just a total accident.
Yeah, and Sylphie up there is leaving the window to come directly down to try to help.
Honestly, why didn't they tell him rules before letting him into the school? Like, if you're not allowed to walk by the girls' dorm at past a certain time, you probably should have been told that.
That's true.
Especially if they're all going to come running out of their dorm rooms about to, like, attack you.
Goliad. I liked every time Goliad took a step, you could hear the rumble. So cool. I do think that it's inevitable that Rudy's ED is going to be, in his mind, cured by a man.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like a Shakespeare play.
Yeah. His blushing at the end of that episode, too. Like, I was like, this is awesome. I love it so much. And, like, you know what I love about it, though? Like, truthfully, it's the fact that Rudy has admiration and love for Fitz based off of just their personality. And I think that that's a really, really cool character note and something to stop and appreciate in terms of Rudy. Because everything we've seen from Rudy, obviously that's been sprinkled in since the start. But when we were looking at it through a lens of perversion for so much of the beginning of the first season, it's so interesting to have the response and feelings and seeing the feelings that Rudy has just based off of somebody's like character and like based off of what they say and what those traits can elicit in terms of emotional response within Rudy.
It's really great to parallel his first interactions with Sylphie in season 1 where he believes Sylphie is a boy. And I think what else it does in season 1 that I didn't necessarily think about is he was able to connect with Sylphie thinking Sylphie was a boy, and this was his first friend, even though we get dialogue from him in season 1 about hoping he doesn't have any brothers because of his brother from his past life. And it's obviously much easier, whether the perverted aspect, if you put that aside, it seems like he might feel more comfortable around women in himself in general and being friends with them. And then we get Eris as a character who is his same age. People that are his same age, he seems much more comfortable with girls his same age and being friends with them.
Yeah.
And older men he can be friends with. But, I mean, that's why Zenoba is such a great character for right now.
Okay, you mentioned 2 characters. One of them I had already planned to, like, segue to since you mentioned it, but then you mentioned, like, the best character, so it's hard not to do that. So you've like,
sorry, I
kind of
went a bunch of places.
Yeah. Eris first. So, the conversation with Cliff was very interesting. I can't imagine not watching that OVA and watching this.
And then watching this.
I think that the importance of Cliff not addressing when this occurred, I loved it. I loved that it was vague.
It could cause anxiety for sure.
Yeah, I really liked that Cliff's character in this episode definitely was true to his character in the OVA that we watched with him in it. And I think that because of that, Cliff will be put into a much more favorable position in my mind and in Rudy's atmosphere than I was fearing that he would be or thinking that he might be. I can imagine Cliff being a pretty good ally.
I agree. Like, not only was Cliff already told to us to be, yes, overconfident, but also just very, very powerful. And that's where the overconfidence came from, is being raised as, like, taken in some weird, twisted way of, like, brought up that you're a genius and then treated like you're a genius, that of course that overconfidence is going to, like, be learned behavior. But I did, during the episode, I think I might have said, and I think you responded to me about if Cliff was going to be stronger than Rudy.
Yeah.
And
I said very quickly no.
Yeah, but I think that we should, even if that's not going to be the case, I think we should remind ourselves that Rudy, yes, we just saw this battle with him and Fitz, and he swept the floor immediately. But we have to remember that in the episode prior to this, he brought up how he has not grown at all in his magic.
Well,
he has plateaued.
After a bit, right? Because he did grow a bit, and then
yes, but he has now since plateaued.
Yes.
So there has to be something. And the best way to grow is to be met with strong people who push you harder, you know? And so I feel like there would probably need to be someone that's utilized as a device to push him further in his magic, like Roxy was.
I think it might be Miss Silent, if anything.
That's a good guess, because we didn't get to meet her.
Yeah. Or it would be like a better understanding of what he needs to work on in close combat throughout, like, Linnea and, like, their interactions potentially. I think that, like, adding in that whole you only need to come to homeroom once is a great, like, you're not shackling the story in any regard, and it's also
you're letting
really
us,
cool.
like, be free,
but like, from a writing standpoint, like, they didn't stop there, right? They used the idea of, oh, we have special students or special, like, you know, enrollments that are able to do this only once a month. They could have stopped it there, but to go an extra mile and then say that there's a character who doesn't even need to attend any of the homerooms creates so much wonder and mystery and why they have that privilege over even Rudy, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. I'm
excited to meet that character. So
what I am, like, immediately thinking, so I could be totally off base here because we literally have nothing to go on, but I'm kind of connecting the dots in my head right now. We got a big term this episode.
Okay.
That term was curses.
Yes. And we got that multiple times. I even wrote down her curse, and then the teacher brings up the people are here to study curses.
And on top of curses, what other term were we, or action or phrase were we privy to this episode, or given this episode that we've heard before? Disturb magic. Both of those pieces of terminology were utilized heavily in episode 21 of last season. And it was that interaction with Orsted and we had Man God, and that entire fight sequence. That was also we were given so much information about curses that episode, and I think that that's such an interesting through line here, and that we might investigate further what curses mean in the next few episodes, as well as Orsted and Nanahoshi. Pretty likely, right? I think given the thematic terms, given the terms we word this episode, it's definitely up there.
I wonder if the girl is Nanahoshi.
Miss Silent?
Yeah.
Could be.
Long hair. That, I don't know. Just
we
random.
got to see somebody who has not been shown yet in last episode, right?
Mm-hmm. And then
Let's
see it a bit in this intro opening we got that, like you said, was the most intro we've ever gotten. Which,
if I'm honest, part of me was a little taken out of it, because one of the things that I love about Mushoku Tensei and can quote about the show quickly is oh yeah, that's this anime with no intros, and they play, and
they play it over the story, and it kind of builds the world more.
Yeah,
and I did like the opening though,
and
that we got.
Especially for this arc that we're going to, it does fit a little bit better than exploration.
It almost feels purposeful to give us something like that for the arc that we're in, with us being in a school.
I agree with you. Yeah, it might be intentionally thematic in that way.
Yeah, intentionally. What's the word? Not ironic, but satire.
Yeah,
it's on
satirical,
purpose. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at the end of last episode right now, and we're seeing Luke and Sylphie, and then we're seeing who I presume to be Miss Silent with black hair, with incantations. I know Nanahoshi had black hair. Whoops, sorry, audio issue. I know Nanahoshi had black hair for sure, but we didn't get enough of a look for her.
No.
Yeah,
it didn't get enough. It was just me
but no,
something.
But you just saying something, but literally we had so many callbacks to episode 21 where she appeared.
That's the reason I said it, is because you opened up that this episode was so connected to that episode that that's why it just... I honestly, can we talk about the fact that Ellen Elise was allowed to enroll in this school for some reason?
I mean, she's powerful. She's
gonna have to pay tuition, right?
Maybe.
I mean, she already has to pay people, because apparently she's dealing with a curse where she has to continuously...
That's what I'm more interested in. It's hard not to take that completely seriously when the term was curse.
Yeah.
And that's a very specific term.
I didn't take it serious when he first said it at the opening of the episode.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's just a funny way to phrase it.
Yeah. But I think that it's probably to be taken seriously.
So do you think that she decided to stay? Is she okay? So here remember last episode we were talking really heavy about if this was being forced upon Rudy by Paul and Roxy so that he would not intervene and would not come, that we have to ensure that he enrolls So is Ellen Elise staying and enrolling? She even was like, oh no, I'll come with you to the meeting. Is her role really to be keep an eye on him and keep him here? Maybe. Or is she staying because she wants to study her own curse, because she heard that word from the teacher and is like, ooh, there's a bunch of... she said she took an interest in young men now. Yeah. But that didn't fit her first interactions with Rudy.
I think that it is not we don't have enough, but I think it's a really interesting point that we should keep in mind about her potentially staying here to keep Rudy here, or keep an eye on him in the very least. I also think the parallel between Ellen Elise and Rudy is really interesting, in terms of that perversion. And throughout her talk, or the dialogue about her having a curse here, right? Is there any chance that she was resurrected or reincarnated? Sorry. In this life, and she's using that perversion in the same way Rudy was?
It's possible.
I mean, from episode 4, she's kind of living Rudy's dream in the opposite gender, And
she's like, don't fall for me. Don't fall for me. Everywhere she goes, she's leaving a trail of broken hearts.
I cannot believe how, staring I was this episode. One of the first things I wrote down was walking into the school, on the edge on the edge of the halls, there's like these big crystals being
like
held
was
up.
that outside, I think?
Yeah.
It was almost like their lampposts.
I know. I'm like, do they light up and create like just like mood lighting?
I'm always excited when I see new fantastical worlds being visually created, and just that you can tell there's inspiration to different places. Like if you play a game like Genshin Impact, like there's definite inspiration to each of their locations, but it also feels so fantastical in the same time.
I still need to play that.
I know. But this city that was created, Ranoa, the school, it definitely had this air of being a place you would go to study magic. Like it was so believable, and it was so like,
oh, it's so cool.
And then these lampposts and the chain down. These crystals are like chained to stay there.
But they're free floating, right? So it's like these
gravitational magic.
Yeah, or like they just inherently are floating. I don't know, or it could be like some type of like barrier from some mage that they put up. It's really
with classic
interesting.
witches' hats.
Yeah. So we're like in where we are skipping around in the episode. We're coming up to when Rudy and Sylphie were fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I love that Rudy just off the bat uses disturbed magic. Just like, I'm just gonna make this like easy, quick and easy, or just utilize it. I was shocked when I saw that Sylphie was able to heal without an incantation. Rudy can't do that. That's crazy. What does that mean? Does Sylphie have more potential than Rudy?
Hasn't Rudy said that Sylphie had more potential?
That you could be better than me, I think. Yeah.
It's possible. Honestly, maybe that's what the true kind of building and growing in terms of magic is going to be, is that friendship. But that could totally be it. But Sylphie would have to be, I think, more confident that they could hold a candle to Rudy.
Yeah. I like that the school teaches non-magical disciplines as well. Yeah. That's really cool.
Ariel just, for some reason, got elected student council president.
Yeah.
So somehow, magically.
Okay. One of my huge, questions here was a piece of dialogue from Sylphie in the library about the investigations about the mass teleportation. Mm-hmm. And I have it written down, but I just want to get the exact words being used. Oh, and if you're interested in teleportation, read Animus's exploring the teleporter labyrinth.
Mm-hmm. The teleporter labyrinth.
Yeah. And
Zenith is an author now.
Sumina. That I've tried to read that name backwards to see if that elicited any response. I don't know. I'm wondering if we heard that name before though.
It doesn't really sound familiar.
No, it doesn't.
But the keywords. I feel like the show likes to do little keyword drops where they just
the labyrinth
trigger words. Like they're like curse and we're like, whoa.
What are your takes on the teleporter labyrinth? What do you think that's gonna give us?
What do I think it's gonna give us?
Yeah.
Well, it's possible that it's going to give us more of a desire to actually leave here and go get Zenith. It could give us a better idea of, I don't know, the labyrinth. Am I holding on too strong to the word labyrinth? Is that just there to subvert expectations?
There are so many labyrinths in this world, I imagine.
Right. Am I just exactly. Is it purposefully there to cloud my view and have me be hyper focused on this word, and therefore it's going to subvert my expectations because it's not actually having anything to do with Zenith and where Zenith is?
Yeah, I think this might have more to do with what he's researching, right? Mm-hmm. What the actual cause of this mass teleportation was. Mm-hmm. Why would the labyrinth? Would it, the teleporter effect within the labyrinth leak out for some reason and cause the teleportation to happen,
That's a really good question. I don't know what we'll learn. I do know that Soul was in the special opening we got for this episode, and Soul is a labyrinth dude.
I liked that, the idea, that mission given to us by Man God and reiterated by Rudy, right before this interaction, that directly led us to Sylphie. Mm-hmm. Directly. Like, and that, so the curing ED thought immediately, like, aligned with the interaction with Sylphie.
Yeah. Okay, one thing more that I want to say about Sylphie, unless we bring up Sylphie for some other reason later on, which we might. I appreciate when visually little quirks of a character are consistent. And I could be totally off with this, but Sylphie always has her feet turned in slightly.
Yeah.
Toward each other. And it's consistent even when she falls down during their fight. Her feet are like that. When she's standing in front of him when she first walks up, it's like this. And like later on in the episode, they're like this. And so it just seems like the mannerisms and how Sylphie carries herself, how she stands.
It's consistent and introverted.
They're still so consistent.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Like when it feels like someone wrote these characters and then had like their own little book and was like, okay, how does this person stand?
Yeah.
How does this person talk? How does this person eat?
I like that Rudy was able to help Ellen Elise in her goal, by offering sage wisdom and advice.
That was really smart of him to put the stockings on.
Yeah,
and
so
then
she didn't get a
skirt
cold.
A little bit. Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah. Zenoba, we have a potential collaboration coming at some point in the future, which is just amazing.
Awesome.
I am a little worried for Roxy if she is ever in contact with Zenoba, because I know that Rudy is his master, but if the master decides that something is perfect enough and beautiful enough to warrant a sculpture, that thing is obviously going to be very important to that student.
Exactly. You're bringing up a great possibility. What would Zenoba, how would he react to seeing the muse?
Yep.
His master's muse.
I would be worried he'd initially go to check if the freckle was there.
Oh, totally.
And to see if the placement was
so
perfect.
Unfortunate.
But then again, I think that he would just assume that it would be because of how great Rudy is.
Oh, yeah. Trust in your master, yes.
Yeah. That interaction with Luke was everything to me.
I was really surprised by it. I like this whole complexity that's being built on his personality, because if it's so right, like characters are not people, are not their same way around every single person they come across. You are not the same necessarily as you are around your family and your close friends, as you are around new people you're meeting, people at school. So when we first meet Luke, we feel like we get a glimpse of what his personality is like. He seems very loyal, very caring. He immediately is like, fits in Sylphie in, and there's this like safety there with this character, and just really admirable. And then we're getting this like new look at him, like, oh, but now he's at school and all these girls think he's cute, and he's like, they want to date him, and
Yeah.
he has like a prestigious status here. Aside from Ariel, he's getting attention. Like maybe he wasn't really getting looked at before because he was always behind her, but now he's getting some attention, and he's allowed room to have that attention because they are safe here and they are going to school and they are students. And I like that we're getting to see that he's a complex person.
I like it. I've looked through my entire notebook.
Are you searching for something?
Animus. Like to see if we had seen it, but no. It's the only reason I'm saying like I even looked for it is because it seems like this, like they are using the element of school here to pay off and flesh out everything that's been explored and told and journeyed through before. So that's why it's like we already have like connections like Linnea, we already have connections like Zenoba and Sylphie, we have connections with like potentially, I don't know, curses, right? Like it seems like everything's coming at head. So to try to fill in the blanks with other pieces of information we were given earlier in the story, I think is a fair attempt, at putting things together. Eris coming back in a little bit of a way.
As a very like romance-minded person, that loves romance content from books, manga, shows, everything. What gives me the most pause and the most like oh no is in this opening that we got. it seemed rather loving and romantic, this scene, which I assume would be Rudy's hand and this possible longer-haired Sylphie.
Yeah.
And why that creates, like, I guess in a romantic mind, issues for me. I'm like, oh, but what about Eris?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, I thought Eris was, like, the perfect, like, if you were to ask me, like, who is, like, the fated soulmate to Rudy's character, I'm like, is this some, like, if this is, like, a dating sim or something, and he has all these, like, girls to choose from, like, who's the, like, fated ultimate path or person that he's supposed to be with? And it's very difficult, because I can understand the childhood friend route very well.
I could understand the Roxy route very well.
And I could understand the Roxy route
and
very well. I can understand the Eris route.
And the Sarah.
And the Sarah. Like, see?
Like, that's the point. That it goes to show how well it's written, the fact that you can, like, headcanon it all.
Exactly, but the romance in me is like, oh no, I'm sorry, Eris, like, but, you know.
Yeah.
Sylphie's also, like, adorable and cute, and they have a good friendship, and he's kind to her, too, and Eris left and caused a lot of pain in Rudy's heart, and Sylphie's being probably used as a device here to heal that pain.
I'm just wondering where Ginger York is. I miss her.
Yes. Sonoba should have brought Ginger York to school.
Okay, that's all I have you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.